Welcome, you scum-sucking pigs, you sons of goat, to Geek Salad retro movie review from the Geek Salad podcast. I'm Andy.
And Mike, sons of a mother.
And yes, the tables have turned tonight, as Mike is in beautiful California right now.
Yes.
Right.
Oh yeah, very, very sunny out.
Very nice, yes. Right near the Harry Flugelman Studios. And tonight, we are talking about one of my favorite comedies of all time. Also, if you go on my Letterboxd, it is my favorite movie of 1986. It is The Three Amigos.
Yeah, I do that, but I'm holding my phone in one hand, so I can't do it.
I will take care of that. The interesting thing about the Amigos salute, by the way, is that I always thought it was more like a guttural, like, it's a cough.
Yeah.
And watching it in more high definition, especially with Chevy Chase, because Chevy Chase is just like, because that's the thing. You turn your head and you cough.
Yeah. Which you don't get when you're watching it as a youngster in 1986.
No, you don't. There's a lot of jokes. This movie ages like a fine wine because there's always something brand new.
Yeah.
About it. I love this movie so much. I feel like 1986 was really the first year that I just discovered comedy in like as more of a mature aspect. It was like my first like dedicated year of Saturday Night Live. The 86-87 season is my first like year when I would tape it and I would watch it religiously.
Yeah, and this movie, despite not being like released through SNL Studios, is pretty much an SNL movie.
It is. Well, I mean, the other thing, Lorne Michaels is one of the producers on this movie.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to me because it has all the aspects of two former SNL cast members, Chevy Chase and Martin Short, and the guy who hosted so much he may as well have been a real cast member. Steve Martin.
I mean, he had a recurring bit, so
yeah. Well, I also love the fact that I got to see John Lovitz and Phil Hartman in this with very underrated parts. But when you think, especially, like they both hit their like hit the good stuff, like with hey Pip, with like. Phil Hartman's just very dry, deadpan thing where he's on the phone. Take the Amigos' clothes.
And John Lovitz just like saying that that describing the next Amigos movie, and they said no. They said no, Mr. Flugelman.
Yes, I mean, the beauty of this movie is that it plays it very earnestly.
Yeah.
Like the very beginning of that whole thing about, we open in Mexico and we find the woman looking for, for help for her village of Santa Poco. And it was great getting like all the different, all the different types of old Mexican Western, scallywags and scurrilous cowboys.
Yeah. And that American that's just I'm so glad you're so happy when the German shoots him.
Yeah. Well, there's also just watching the silent movie, which was perfect with the pancaked on makeup and the overreactions. It was a lot of fun, especially because there were cuts in there, like the whole thing with Ned. Like doing the gun thing and then doing a cut to his smiling face, which it wasn't a continuous shot, it's just that kind of
just their looks to the camera when they know they're not supposed to be looking directly at the camera, but they are because that's how it was in the silent era.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Now, when was the first time you saw Three Amigos?
I saw it. I know we recorded it off of TV back in probably late 80s, early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, So the audio wasn't so great. I do know until I saw it recently in high def that that line by the bartender, this town is getting too rough for me.
Yeah.
I had no idea what the hell he had said.
You couldn't
That
hear it.
audio,
Yeah.
yeah, the audio was so off. I thought he was talking about some Mr. Wapplement.
Yeah. It was. So I saw it in the theater. I saw it
Oh.
opening weekend in the theater because my mother was a huge, huge fan of this type of comedy. Her boyfriend at the time, huge fan of this style of comedy. And I really wanted to see this. So my mom and I went and we saw it, and we both had a blast.
Yeah.
The last movie we had seen together was Rocky IV, and I've had conversations about that on our podcast. Yeah. But we had an absolute blast watching this because watching the three of them, and by the three of them, because here's where the age kicks in. You notice how much heavy lifting Steve Martin and Martin Short are doing in this movie. Because Chevy Chase is, while he is funny in this, he kind of is the lesser of the three based on the shtick that he perfected in Caddyshack. I feel like he was carrying over his character from Caddyshack into Three Amigos.
Yeah, definitely watching this one, you're like, most of the funny lines and funny bits come from Martin Short and Steve Martin. I mean, don't get me wrong, Chevy Chase, the whole shooting the Invisible Swordsman was, and his just like, the Invisible Swordsman, sure. But other than that,
he had a few. I mean, he had a few good bits. The bit with the, when El Guapo is talking, he's into the disguise and talks about raping the horses and riding off on the women. That was pretty funny. My favorite bit of his in the entire movie, though, is when they're in the desert and both the other two guys are just thirsty and hot, and they get, like their canteens are filled with sand, and then he just like has water to spare, and he like does the whole thing. He's like, lip balm, which I still say to this day if I've got lip balm.
Yeah, and the whole like when like after he crashes into Carmen's room, and like, oh, did you have a plan? Yeah, we were gonna break into the fortress. Okay, you did that. Okay, we didn't really have anything beyond. We didn't think we could do that, so we didn't have anything beyond that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's stuff like, when he's playing the guitar during the celebration in Santa Poco. Yeah, that was essentially almost like the "I was born to love you, I was born to lick your face" from Caddyshack. Yeah, but even like you mentioned the Invisible Swordsman, him shooting him. That's not the funny part. The funny part is watching Lucky, Steve Martin's character, just lose it on him. Shut up. It's like talking to a 5-year-old.
Yeah, and Ned is just, Martin Short's Ned is just, he is my favorite character. He's just so earnest, and he's the one that convinces them that we've got to be the heroes that we pretend to be. Right,
and I feel like us talking about it now is apt because there was Slate put out an article last week about why do we suffer the annoyingness of Martin Short, and Martin Short got the type of support that dead people get. Yeah. Oh my God, everybody like pig piled on it. Now, I still think that article is written to run, a defense against the Jimmy Fallon allegations, which, wow, what a shock. Yeah. But Martin Short so first of all, this is his first feature-length film.
Really?
This is his debut. I think he might have done like little bit things, but this is the first time that he is name above the title feature. I mean, when you think about his work at this time, what was he doing? He did SCTV, and he was brilliant on SCTV. And he had done the 84-85 season of SNL. And that was kind of like the star season. That was the Billy Crystal and Christopher Guest season. He was there as well. Right. And he could really hone his chops. But being able to meet and work with Steve Martin. Those two are on tour right now.
Oh yeah, those two play off each other like nobody's business.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't gotten around to watching Only Murders in the Building only because I want to watch it, but because it's like my wife wants to watch it, but never is in the mood to watch it. We haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I started watching the first episode and it was good. It's just I got so many other things I need to watch.
I know.
That have taken precedence, but what I've seen of it, I really enjoy. And honestly, I was kind of surprised, but they play off Selena Gomez really well as well.
They do. I'm impressed with her. I'm not impressed with her music, but I'm impressed with how good she is in this show.
Yeah.
But in this movie, oh my God, My Little Buttercup, to me, brought the first big series of laughs in this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's so out of nowhere and it's so absurd.
Actually, for me, there was one really huge laugh before that.
Oh, was it when they were breaking in to get their costumes?
Yeah.
Look at here! Look at here!
Look at here! And they're just completely oblivious. It's just...
But that's the genius of Steve Martin. I mean, I am so, and I think I said this during The Jerk when we talked about that last week. I feel very blessed that a comedian that I grew up with, you know, I listened to his records when I shouldn't have listened to his records. That's how far back Steve and I go.
First name basis too.
What's that?
First name basis.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just so happy that he just actually turned out to be an amazing guy.
Yeah.
In real life. Martin Short is the same thing. Now, obviously, we can't say the same about Chevy Chase, because nobody's got a good story about Chevy Chase.
Oh, lots of people have stories about Chevy Chase. Not many of them good.
Yeah. Ask Terry Sweeney of the 85-86 SNL season what he thinks of Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
But I feel like those two, again, work so well off each other. The My Little Buttercup number just is sold on this ridiculous premise, on these two guys who are earnestly singing this sweet song in front of a bunch of desperados.
who are too afraid because they think that if they're mean to them, they're going to kill them all.
Yes. I mean, that whole thing. And then the best part about that is after they do that whole thing, and when they start like getting the signal, you know, the call and answer, dear, you know, sweet
My Little Buttercup.
I love that bartender. He is so good. We don't have beer. We have tequila.
Is it like what's tequila?
He's likes beer. Oh, if it's like beer, we'll have it. 3 tequilas. Now, Mike, I know you're not much of a drinker. Have you ever had like straight tequila?
No, I've had straight vodka. I'm assuming it's pretty similar.
No, it actually isn't. So, first of all, I can't drink vodka straight. It tastes like rubbing alcohol.
Well, correction, I haven't had straight vodka. I've had, I made myself a screwdriver with far too much vodka, far too little orange juice.
Ooh, yeah, that'll do it.
That was the first time and one of the last times I've ever drank.
So tequila, and what I'm assuming, well, first of all, I'm assuming that they were just drinking water because those guys were drinking it like water.
Yeah.
Most tequila has a bit of a bite to it. Not as extreme as, I mean, I would assume.
Hi, Kurt.
Hey, Kurt, how you doing here? Straight tequila, yeah. I've done tequila shots before. I mean, they didn't like burn me the way that, you know, when they all had theirs and did their little jump. But then again, we're also maybe talking, this is probably really cheap rot gut Mexican tequila of the early 20th century.
It's probably watered down.
Yeah. It's not bad, but it's got more of a bite to it. So yeah, just in case you ever have a margarita or something like that, or just do a tequila shot, because that's what they do. But I love that whole bit so much. And then the best part about it is once they leave and the other two Germans come in, everybody just turns right back. Hey, look at the little sissies.
Yeah, one of those joints played by Brian Thompson, actually. I've seen him in numerous bit parts. I mainly remember him, and Catherine would probably back me up with this. He was from the Bruxa vampire clan in the TV show of Vampire the Masquerade.
Okay. Interesting. It's almost the funny thing is too. I'm not a big fan of the word sissy, but the way that they say it really, and again, we're talking about very, some might even deem offensive Mexican accents. Tony Plan as El Jefe.
Yeah.
When he's talking to Ned during that duel, he's like, "You want to die with a man's gun, not the little CC gun like this." Just God, the physical comedy in this.
Mm-hmm. The whole flying back when Ned fires the gun and flies backwards.
Yeah.
And the gun flies up to Steve Martin.
Yep.
I'll fill you with so full of lead, I'll be using your dick for a pencil.
What do you mean?
I don't know. And Hefe's trying to explain it.
Yeah, I think he means how amazing is Alfonso LaRue in this as El Guapo?
Dude, his plethora bit. Oh my God. I've used that numerous times in real life.
Oh my God. So I just want to posit this. For a movie that was considered a box office failure when it came out, how many phrases, how many catchphrases, terms, questions have worked its way into our vernacular?
Yeah.
People know what a plethora is now, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. No idea what a plethora was before this movie.
Yep.
Now
exactly. I know. Forgive me, El Guapo.
Yeah, and apparently, on Rotten Tomatoes, this thing only has 42%.
Well, because the critics, I really feel like the critics didn't know what to make of this.
Mm. And also, this was one of John Landis's movies after Twilight Zone, and in fact, he couldn't edit this one because he was on trial for the murder of Vic Morrow.
Yes, for manslaughter, which strangely he got off. Yeah. This movie isn't perfect for reasons out of its control.
Yeah.
You know what I found very interesting about this movie, though, is that Randy Newman he's a credited screenwriter on this. He did the first draft of this. This thing had been floating around the SNL ecosystem throughout the 80s before it finally landed.
Yeah, originally it was going to be Steve Martin, Dan Aykroyd, and John Belushi.
John Belushi, yeah.
The funny Jim Belushi.
Yeah, I was going to say, not Jim Belushi. I didn't realize he made so many movies. Toga, 2000.
Yeah, and then when Belushi died, they were going to do John Candy, but he couldn't ride the horse.
No, God. I think it works. I feel like the beauty is, too, when you look at it, the poster of, you've got Chevy Chase, who's the tall one.
Yeah.
Steve Martin, who's the normal size. And then they really do treat Ned like a child in this.
Yeah. Nettie goes to war.
Yeah, little Nettie, get your gun.
I kind of I wish they would have made they could actually do animated now with Martin Short doing the voice of the little Nettie movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And Kevin, yes. One of my favorite phrases. So, old woman, so like the wind.
Oh, that might be my favorite line from this one.
Again, it's the the funny thing is, anybody just saying that, it's a line.
Yeah.
The way that Martin Short delivers that line, it's just beautiful.
Yeah,
it really truly is. It's just like we spend the entire time just praising the hell out of this movie. There's so much. I mean, it really is a lot to love about this movie. I mean, obviously, it's held up enough that during this whole Martin Short gate that we've been working our way through, people bring this movie up.
Oh yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah, I love it. I love how genuinely funny he is. And if this is, for like I said, this was his first real feature.
Mm.
To see, to have people discover the genius of Martin Short in this. I mean, we already knew how funny Steve Martin was.
Oh yeah, the jerk.
Oh well, yeah, the jerk. Oh my God, when they're actually calling for the Invisible Swordsman.
Yeah. Oh, they're
Naughty.
that one gets me.
Nothing.
I mean, I love Steve Martin's, but my brother showed this to his movies to his 3 sons, all under 12, and they all loved it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Kevin. This movie, it really truly holds up in so many different ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing with that. I guess that what Steve Martin said was a play on his character in The Man with Two Brains.
I've never seen A Man with Two Brains, so I couldn't say.
No, I actually just watched Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid the other day.
Oh yeah, how is it?
It's very interesting. It's actually still pretty funny, and it's on Amazon Prime. So
nice.
Check that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a line too. I mean, there's that great line of that woman that is talking to Carmen.
Oh yeah.
About El Guapo. It's like today is El Guapo's birthday, and tonight you will be El Guapo's woman. Tell me, do you know what foreplay is?
No.
Good. Neither does El Guapo.
And also earlier, it's like when they're talking when before she's been kidnapped. It's like I like the one that's not so smart. Which one is that?
Which one is that? It is funny too because you could tell with Carmen and the actress who played her, who sadly passed a few years ago.
Yeah, and she was actually in Beetlejuice.
Patrice?
Yeah.
Martinez?
Yeah, she was
Miss America or Miss Argentina?
She was.
Interesting. She did a great job at the very beginning of the movie when they're watching, when she's watching the movie of the Three Amigos, and Lucky kisses that woman, and you can see that she's actually a little like upset about that.
Yeah.
And she ends up, being, Lucky's girl at the end when he says, "I'll come back for you. I'll come back." Why?
Why?
Oh, I just thought that.
And then Ned gets the big kiss there.
Oh my God! Yes, woman was hired because she was a Playboy playmate.
Yeah. And you know what? Not gonna lie, Chevy Chase did have another great line. Like, we could go for a walk and you kiss me on the veranda. Lips would be fine.
Yep. He's got that other line too, where they're feeding him. Like, do you have anything besides Mexican food?
Oh yeah, and he tries to roll up the taco and everything just falls right out.
Oh yeah, that is my son eating Mexican food. Why do you want the flour tortillas, child?
Don't hold them vertically.
I'll never get it. I'll never understand it, but it's there.
Yeah.
The fact that they implemented musical numbers in this is also perfect.
Oh, actually, speaking of Randy Newman, he did the voice of the singing swordsman, singing bush.
The singing bush.
Hello, are you the singing bush? Yeah, I'm just going to assume it's the singing bush.
But another thing that really just slew me was when they're singing Moonshadow.
Oh yeah.
And they get into that, and they cut to the horses.
Boom, 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 boom,
boom, boom. I was just like, I had to grab my chest. I distinctly remember grabbing my chest and laughing so hard. It's just like, I mean, it's an effect that when you watch it now in high definition, it doesn't hold up all that well. But my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's
if
obvious.
You've never seen it, you're not expecting it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's obvious it's a painted backdrop, but it's a gorgeous painted backdrop.
Oh, it's a set. It looks like a set.
Yeah.
The Goodnight Ned turtle. It's just like, okay, you look like an animatronic.
Good night, Ned. Well, huh? So that whole desert sequence is just like so odd, but it works. Like from like the invisible swordsman to the whole singing at night thing. It all just takes place in like a weird alternate reality, but you don't question it at all.
Yeah, considering it doesn't seem like it's that far. Like Santa Poco isn't that far away from El Guapo's lair.
Yeah, if they can ride horses to it within a day.
Yeah. But yeah, they also probably didn't know, because they even mentioned that whole thing about how they went the wrong way and they got lost and they get all the instructions.
Yeah. How many hours do you think it was before we had to go back and ask for directions? Only about 3 or 4.
There's also that great bit too when they're trying to infiltrate El Guapo's lair, and they got the 2 guards who are walking past them and they just kind of freeze.
And they just walk right past them.
Apparently, those 2 are talking about a recipe.
Oh.
In Spanish.
Oh, actually, another great bit from El Guapo. It's like, "Hey, Paco, hold out your hat. Higher."
Oh my God, that's the whole thing. And thanks to this movie, now I know that nada is a light chicken gravy.
You got
that the entire time they were doing all these Mexican movies, they'd never picked up a lick of Spanish.
And Joe Mantegna, for as little as he is used, he is brilliant as.
I had never seen him in a movie prior to this.
You hear his voice and you're like, okay, that is Fat Tony, but you see him, it's like, I did not realize that was Joe Mantegna.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, Fat Tony is essentially Joey Zaza from Godfather 3.
Yeah,
but this came first.
Yeah,
and he's so good in this, and it's kind of nice because now Joe Mantegna's kind of become like, okay, you need an Italian hood.
Yeah,
but in this one, that whole thing, you caught Gary Flugelman on a bad day.
I'd like to continue working for free here, Mr. Flugelman. I love the look that Steve Martin gives Chevy Chase at that.
Oh, well, even when he's talking about the whole thing about the Cochise movie, and then, he just does that thing where he looks, that'll be the day.
What? He said that'll be the day, Mr. Flugelman.
Mr. Flugelman. Oh my God. It's just, I mean, seriously. I mean, I truly do love this movie. Now, fortunately, if you don't subscribe to AMC Plus, you can find this whole thing on YouTube right now.
Yeah, I actually went on the Amazon and rented it, but it's like
$4. Okay.
Yeah.
The copy I watched on YouTube was phenomenal. I could have watched the DVD that I own, but the weird thing with my DVD is it not only converts to widescreen, but also shrinks the left and the right sides of the screen down too.
Oh.
So it's almost like a postage stamp. Very hard to watch. So when I can find it, somewhere else, I will watch it. Love this movie. I love the costumes. I love the art direction about this movie. All in all, I mean, again, as I mentioned, there were a lot of great movies that came out in 1986. Like, a lot of great movies. But when I go back and I think about what do I want to watch from 1986, it's this one.
I'd have to look up a list of all the other movies in 86 before I'd say, but this one would probably be in the top 10, if not the top 5.
Yeah. It was a tough decision for 86 for me, but you had, I mean, you look at that year, you had Aliens that came out this year.
Ooh.
You had Platoon.
I'd rather watch this over Aliens.
Yeah. You had Platoon that came out this year. You had Blue Velvet that came out this year.
Ooh, that's another Steve Martin right there.
Blue Velvet? No, that's David Lynch.
No, I'm thinking My Blue Heaven.
Yes, that is 1990. That came out the same year as Goodfellas, and they're essentially the same story. Or at least it's the aftermath, what happens at the end of Goodfellas.
One a lot funnier.
Oh, Kurt brings this up. Yeah, those older DVDs have a 4x3 open mat, which makes them hard to watch.
Yeah.
You're telling me they were still made for square TVs, not for a 43-inch OLED LED screen. Like,
Yeah. And the Blu-ray is ridiculously hard to find.
it is. It is. I also have to say, I hate the new DVD art the newer DVD art that they have. I don't know why they can't just stick with the original white poster, which
Yeah.
is our is going to be our YouTube frame.
I don't know if I've seen the new artwork, and now I'm kind of glad I haven't.
It's weird. I mean, if you just look up on Google a Three Amigos, you'll see it. It literally looks like a DVD cover.
Oh.
It's even blue, like it's a Blu-ray cover. It even looks blue.
Oh.
Which is odd.
Yeah.
So, anywho,
yeah.
I could spend all night gushing about this, but
yeah.
I don't really want to. But I do. What's that?
I guess there was a subplot with because in the beginning, during that whole look up here scene, there's that billboard about some female actress. I guess that actress was supposed to be played by Fran Drescher, and it was going to be a subplot, but it was cut. And there was also going to be like a mountain man during the whole singing Bush and Invisible Swordsman man, that played by Sam Kinison, and that was cut as well.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I feel like, when I hear stuff about that, it's like I kind of don't even want to see it. It was a little curious that we didn't get any more of Flugelman.
Yeah.
Considering that they gave him like the Joe Mantegna as Harry Flugelman.
Yeah.
In the credits, you figured he would factor in more, but he just shows up at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
I honestly couldn't want more.
No, it is
in this movie. I feel like they kept their eyes on the prize and told this story.
Yeah. I mean, the movie itself is only about hour 35, hour 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think an hour 40.
Yeah. So it's not a hard watch, and it goes by quick.
Yes, but it's an enjoyable.
Yeah, very much so.
40. I really do love this movie. So now we want to leave it to you. What do you think of Three Amigos? Leave a polite comment below if you have seen this movie and you just absolutely love it. Thank you, Kevin and Kurt, for commenting on this as well. I'm so happy that people are able to spread the love of the Three Amigos, because they would just want that.
Yes.
And yeah, actually, you know what's funny, Mike? Now that I think about it, I talk about this being my favorite movie of 1986. You know what my favorite movie of 1987 is?
What?
Inner Space.
Another Martin Short.
Another Martin Short movie. And Kurt says, always glad to comment, and we always appreciate you, my friend.
Yes, we do.
So yeah, we want to know, what are your thoughts on the Three Amigos? Leave a polite comment below. Also, if you're new to the channel, hi, thank you for watching. Give us just hit that subscribe button so you get our weekly movie reviews. Give this video a thumbs up. Also, Mike and I host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We are there. You can also get the feed right here on YouTube as well. You can follow us on the socials. We are at Geek Salad Podcast on Facebook, and we are at Geek Salad Radio on Twixter, on Blue Sky, and on Threads. So you can follow us there as well. And next week we conclude. Actually, we might not even be concluding, because I think we have an extra week in there, depending on how everybody's schedules and whatnot work. Yeah. We have one more comedy blind spot, at least one more comedy blind spot that we are going to cover, where Mike and I are going to be totally excellent.
Yeah, one of my favorite comedies of all time.
And we are finally going to hit Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So, yeah. So anyway, folks, thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.